Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering onboarding, getting started in WEX FSM. This webinar will cover onboarding terminology and timeline, data loads, where to access your training in the Help Center, account setup, adding users and dispatch groups, how to contact customer care, and a live Q&A at the end where you'll be able to get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. When you first log in, you will be brought to the schedule page. Now, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of buttons. You've got your work queue, you've got your calendar. But if you're just starting, you've just signed in, maybe for the first time, you will want to go to the Getting Started button. Hover over this Getting Started, and it says, Welcome to WEX FSM. Curious where to start? We have you covered. And right here, there is a link to our Getting Started article. This is the first place I would recommend that you go because all of the resources that you need, the timeline, instructions to follow are here on this article. Once you click on this link, it will bring you to the Getting Started article. And we're just going to work our way together through this. Of course, there is a video to watch. This is a great demo and even shows some of the things that we're going to go over today, if you want to check that out. But let's start with onboarding terminology and timeline. We do have certain terms that we use here at WEX FSM, and I say them all day, every day, so I know what they are, but maybe this is your first time hearing about some of these, so let's talk about them in detail. Onboarding. When we say onboarding, that is the period of time from when you sign up to your official switch to using WEX FSM as your main software. Most likely before signing on with WEX FSM, you have used a previous software, or maybe you've used paper and pencil for a long time, but either way, you've had some previous way that you've done business. And now you will switch to using WEX FSM as your main way of keeping track of things and running your business. Initial data load. If you are loading data, let's say you have customers, invoices, and payment history in a previous software, we will load that into your system. And that first load that we do is called the initial data load. That will take things like customers, invoices, and payments from your previous software and load it into WEX FSM. The Help Center is the main hub for where you will learn how to use the software. That's where your training resources are, how you can sign up for webinars and contact customer care. And the Help Center is this little smiley face guy in the bottom right. I do reference this a lot, and that allows a pop-up that you will be able to use. Now we're going to dive into all of this in just a bit, but this is just an overview of these terms. So when I say them, you know what they mean. Make the switch. This is a huge one. So make the switch. When we say make the switch, that is the exact day that you will stop using your previous software or way of doing things and start using WEX FSM as your main software. Now, your onboarding, when you are in onboarding and you're getting your account set up and you're learning the software, your data is loading, that is all before your make the switch date. And before your make the switch date, you will be using your previous software. As we're getting everything set up in WEX FSM, your data is loaded, you know the software, you've done your training. Now you're ready to start using WEX FSM to enter your customers' invoices and payments. That day is your make the switch day. And it is important that you select your make the switch day so you know when that is going to happen. And that would have been selected when you sign up. The supplemental data load is a secondary data load that we do. So you have your initial data load, which is going to load the bulk of your data from your previous system into WEX FSM. And then after you've done your onboarding and you are now ready to make the switch, on your make the switch day, we will do another data load. And that's going to capture all of your data from when you signed up to the make the switch day. That way we have a full system of record from your previous system in WEX FSM. So that is some terminology and timeline for you. Just underneath this, we have data load. So learn a little more in detail by reading through this. This will talk about the initial data load, supplemental data load, and tips and tricks on what to do in those scenarios. Now, I will say this, if you do not have any data, then technically the make the switch day can be the day you sign up. The make the switch, just so we're clear, your make the switch day, the reason why that's important is for your data load. When you are using WEX FSM, the sync is a one-way sync for customers, invoices, and payments. So if I enter a customer into WEX FSM, that will sync down to my QuickBooks. But if I enter a customer into QuickBooks, that will not sync up to WEX FSM. So it's important that if you are using your previous system during onboarding, the make the switch day is your cutoff for using it in the previous system. And then you'll start entering into WEX FSM on that make the switch day. And that clean cutoff date is what makes the data transfer nice and clean so we get everything loaded correctly. But if you don't have any data, let's say I've been talking this whole time and you're like, I don't even use QuickBooks. I'm just going to be using WEX FSM standalone. That's awesome. You can start entering customers' invoices, payments into your system right away and start using WEX FSM whenever you're ready, because we don't have to worry about a data load. Now, let's talk about the Help Center. So the Help Center, as we said earlier, that is this little smiley face guy in the bottom right. And when you click on this, we have a couple options here that you'll go through. It's called the Help Center because that's exactly what it does. It's going to help you do the things that you want to do. If you have any questions, you always have your on-demand customer support here. You can click contact support, and that's how you'll reach out to customer support. Video courses and webinars, if you click on that, this is where you can sign up for webinars. This is where you can scroll down. We have video courses. If you are interested in any of these topics, I would highly recommend Build and Manage Pricebook is a good one to make sure your pricing is correct in your system. If you have a maintenance plan program, Sell and Track maintenance plans, that would be a good one. You do not have to watch every single video in here. It's really tailored for you to pick and choose which features you want to use and watch the courses for that. Also, we do record all of our webinar sessions. So we have our past webinars, and you can simply watch replays of all of the topics that we offer. It's nice to come to the live sessions. It's cool to hang out here, and the live Q&A is really nice as well. But if you don't have time to show up to a session, you can always just rewatch it here on your own time whenever you need. If you are communicating with customer care, let's say a ticket has been provided, you will be able to have your own messages. This is two-way messaging between you and customer care. And then tasks. Now we're getting into the bread and butter of your onboarding training. So again, you will click on the Help Center icon and then go to tasks. Tasks is where you will find training modules for QuickBooks Sync, making the switch, initial setup of your system, daily to-dos, and learn the basics. Now let's run through these together just so we can kind of spot check this. Now you will be working through these on your own. This is tutorials As you work through these, I like to think of these as a checklist. And as you complete each section, you can mark them as complete and it will fill up a completion bar. So it keeps track of your progress, and this is unique and individual per user. So let's say I have 3 office reps. I need them all to do the training. They'll each have their own progress bars in their system when they log in. Now, learn the basics. This is going to show you how to navigate through the system, how to set up appointments and jobs, running a job from the field with mobile app training. All of these link you out to a video, a tutorial video that you will watch. Payments, how to take payments and look at your payment reporting. And then additional learning. When you click on continue learning, that actually just brings you to the video courses and webinars page that we looked at earlier. So that is learn the basics. Daily to-dos, this is going to just be a reminder of things that you may want to check daily. So, if you're running the business, there's going to be follow-ups, and we have a way that you can flag jobs. So learning about the job list, learning about flags, how you can use flags to make sure nothing slips between the cracks and you have a good high-level overview in your reporting to see flag jobs and keep track of your follow-ups. Close deals. Let's say you do a lot of estimates, maybe you're doing some commercial work and you're bidding for jobs. You can check your proposals report. That will actually show you your close rate, your win-loss rate. And then the job summary report is a nice high-level overview of everything going on with your jobs. Check your cash flow. Receivables are huge. If you're the one who, you're in the office, you're in charge of all receivables, making sure that bills are getting paid. The receivables report is amazing for that. That will allow you to see all of your invoices in your system, the status of all those invoices, and you can send out payment reminders from this report as well. And it's really nice when you send out a ton of payment reminders and a lot of people pay their bill all at one time. Then if you are running a maintenance plan program, it's good to check out the maintenance plan scheduling report and your maintenance plan customers report. And then if you are syncing to QuickBooks, this is just a little reminder of where you can check sync statuses. For example, let's go to the invoice list. Oh, I got to log back in. When you start entering invoices into your system, once an invoice has been added and an item has been added to the invoice, it will then sync to your QuickBooks. And here is where you can see all of those auto sync statuses. So you should be able to see whether something is ready to sync, whether it has synced, and if there is any type of sync error or something is missing, you can see that too. So you can do troubleshooting for sync here as well. For example, this says that it's not ready to sync. What are we missing? I'll click on details. And this is simply saying that we need to select a tax group. So you select your tax group, hit save, and now it has the information it needs and it will sync on the next sync. And that sync hub, this is just a reminder of where you can go to get to these pages. Now, WEX FSM, your system is in a web browser, so you do get the great functionality that web browsers bring. So if there are pages in WEX FSM, like the invoice list that you want to check weekly, you can just bookmark these pages. And as long as you're logged in, it will bring you to those pages. So bookmarking is a good thing to do, good practice. And I know for me, I have an open daily tab, and I just bookmark everything I know I'm going to look at every day, open all tabs at the beginning of the day when I start my day, and then now I have everything I need to do my job. Let's go back into the Help Center, back to Tasks, and then Initial Setup, another really good one. This is going to teach you how to add users, how to set up your dispatch groups, which dispatch groups, if we go to the schedule, you are able to set up groups for scheduling, and you can determine who you want to look at on the schedule at what time. So if you want to look at everyone, you could set an all users group. If you want to just see your field technicians, what's going on out there in the field, you can set that up as well. And I will be running through an example of how to add users and how to set up your dispatch groups before we end today's session. Review admin settings. This one's huge. Your system comes with a lot of defaults. Now, at WEX FSM, we know the industry. We have some great general defaults that are in your system, and they're usable on day one. So technically, you could just use those. I do have some customers that I've been working with for years, and they have never changed the defaults. But personally, I would recommend that you go to each of these links and just make sure that your business details are correct. You've got your job type set up the way you want. Contract terms, your legal contracts with your customers, are those correct in here? Warranties, pricing defaults, and price book. Go check out all these pages and just look around, make sure that the info on those pages is what you want your customers to see. When you're done, you'll just mark that this has been completed. And then making the switch. This is going to talk more about the actual make the switch day, answers questions like, when do I stop using my old software? Double check your settings and user settings before you make the switch. Are you going to use the card swipers to take payment, maybe out in the field? Order your card readers right from here. If you're going to be using this with your technicians out in the field, they will need to download the WEX FSM mobile app. The mobile app is huge for having synergy between your field technicians and who's working in the office. It's one of the best benefits of having an online software. And in order for that to work, you do need to have everyone who's going to work in the field download the app. So this shows you how to do that. Maybe you're using a previous software and you have all of your appointments in your previous software, and you now need to get those appointments into your new software. This will show you that process. And last but not least, in this one, we have review data in additional loads. So this will take you to a place where you can check out your data and just make sure it's being loaded to your liking. And the last one at the top here, we have QuickBooks Sync Training. Now, if you do not have QuickBooks, you will not see a training here for QuickBooks. If you do have QuickBooks, you will get a training based on the version of QuickBooks you have. QuickBooks has two versions, QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. And if we click into here, we can see that this first talks about installing the sync tool. This is a QuickBooks desktop only action. And let's talk about this while we're here. If you're syncing to QuickBooks, there's two versions. If you are QuickBooks desktop, it requires a sync tool. Now, during onboarding, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff. And if you are QuickBooks desktop, you must get the sync tool installed. But it is very easy. You just go to your QuickBooks Sync training in the Help Center and click this link. It's hyperlinked for you. Once you click on this, you will be able to set and schedule a meeting with one of our customer support reps. They will show up. It's a Zoom call just like this, and you'll work one-to-one with our customer support rep. They will download and install it for you and teach you how to use that sync tool. But if you're QuickBooks Desktop, absolutely make sure that you get this done before you make the switch date. This also will just talk about sync in general. What is sync? How does it work? And the main syncing items: customer sync with a video, invoice sync with a video, and payment sync with the video. Accounting and tax details. It's always good to go to your accounting and taxes page and just look and make sure this is what you want. This will show you which version of QuickBooks you are syncing to, whether or not QuickBooks Sync is turned on or off in your system. And then if you do an initial sync, you'll see your classes, your income accounts, and your tax settings in here. So it's good to come to this page. Just make sure everything is in order for how you want your system to work. And I believe, oh, two more. So how do I stop something from syncing? And then how do I run a sync? Now, if you are interested in diving deeper into syncing and understanding how that works, we do have a QuickBooks Sync training that you can show up to. That is a webinar that I also host. And you can just go to video courses and webinars from the home tab and go to the most current calendar. So we're in April. And what's today? Today's the 6th. Let's have a look. So QuickBooks Sync training tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can show up to that and watch it live, or you can just go in, scroll down, and watch that live recording anytime you want from the past webinars. Let's see, QuickBooks Sync training right here. Okay. Next, and let me check my notes. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, perfect. So now let's talk about subscriptions. We're going to go to settings, subscriptions. Now you will have your main subscription with WEX FSM. That is what you are paying monthly for your subscription. This page, when you go to subscriptions, it will show you your plan and the options that you have by default. And then you have payment options. This is going to allow you to add financing. Now, I'm not going to go full into a financing tutorial on how this works. If you are interested in financing, you can always look in the Help Center. And same as QuickBooks, you can go to video courses and webinars and attend a financing webinar. Watch the replay from there as well. We even have a multi-lender financing video course right here in the hotbar. But an overview of financing. You will pick a lender. So each lender here does have their own minimum requirements. And you, the contractor, will first need to apply yourself to make sure that you are falling in line with what the lenders want for their customers. Once you sign up and are approved, you will select which loans you want to offer to your customers, and then you will be able to offer those loans to your customers through your proposals. Scrolling down, this is also where you can turn on card processing. So if you're going to process cards, and then check acceptance. And you can order Bluetooth card readers from here as well. Additional products. This is going to be add-ons. So these are really helpful tools. Maybe none of these apply to you, but maybe they do. And some of these are really amazing. It depends on what you need. Zoom phone is really great if you already have a business phone number and you would like to integrate that into your WEX FSM system. You can get caller ID, call tracking. People can leave voicemails for you. and you will get transcriptions of conversations. So if you want an integrated phone with your current business phone number that customers have been calling you at for years, Zoom Phone is great for that. Flat rate price book. If you do flat rate pricing, now you can build your own price book very easily in WEX FSM, but as we all know, it takes a lot of time to build things out, especially if you have a ton of different pricing. Profit Rhino will put a flat rate price book with names, model numbers, pictures, descriptions in a beautiful display into your system, and you can start using it right when you make the switch. Azuga vehicle tracking, if you have a lot of money invested in your vehicles, in your fleet, maybe you have a lot of vans and trucks out there, this is great. You can put dash cams in. You can get readings on there's a device that you actually put into your vehicle that will give you readings that let you know whether you are being efficient with gas and also allows you to see driver safety. So if there's anything your drivers are doing that they're not supposed to be doing, you can key into that. And then finally, we have advanced reporting, which maybe you'll look at this a little later once you get in and look at the reports that you currently have in your subscription. You may be wanting more. And advanced reporting just allows you a lot more deeper dive and insights into your data in WEX FSM. So these are optional, but they are additional charges. So you will have to determine whether or not they will be helpful for you in your business. And if they are, click the red plus button to sign up for that feature and add that to your monthly subscription. Next, let's go to dispatch groups. Let's start doing some stuff. So in your system, let's go to settings, user management, dispatch groups. Now we mentioned earlier, and just for a visual, let's go back to the schedule page. Your system, if you haven't touched this yet, it most likely says example dispatch group right here, and there's only one group. But if you have, let's say, office personnel, you have a repair side of the business, you have an install side of the business, maybe you have HVAC and plumbing like Carol. You could make an HVAC group and then a plumbing group, and you kind of separate your technicians there. So a great way to organize your boards, your schedule here. To set this up, you'll want to go to the dispatch groups admin page. This is kind of like a settings page, and this is where you'll set this up. So that's settings, user management, dispatch groups. From here, you will click add dispatch group, name the group. If you want a group with all users, name it all users. If you want one with field text, name it field text. Get creative with however you want this to be named. Add the users to your group, and then click save. Once you do this, you will see that reflected here on the admin page for this, but you'll also see it updated on the schedule. If you want to delete or edit a group, tap on the three dots to the right and edit or delete. Very simple to do. Just got to know where to go and what it's for. Next, if we have dispatch groups, we need to fill them with users. That's one of the first things that you should do in your onboarding timeline is make sure you're adding your users, getting their username and password set up so other members of your team can log in and start using WEX FSM. To do this, we will go to settings, user management, users. If you have just signed up, you may only have one user in here, probably the person who signed up and used their email. But then we need to add everyone else. To do this, you will click Add User in the top right. You'll fill out the information here, set the permissions you want for this user, and click Save. I already have a user set up, so let's use our field technician, Dustin Bailey, as an example, just to give you an idea of what a real user will look like once you add your users. Everything here is pretty self-explanatory, but if you're by yourself, you may read some of these fields and have a question. So I'm going to point out a couple things. When you're adding your users, the user name is an email address. Questions I get about this: can I use any email? Are emails going to go to this email? Does this have to be a real email? The email is simply a username. If you know that you would like emails from the system to be sent to this user, maybe I'm setting up an office user, and every time someone signs a proposal, I can have a message sent to that user. If you know that you want messages sent to that user, then yes, this needs to be a real email. If you are just using it, maybe let's say for your field technicians, you could make it say, my company tech1 at email.com. And you can set up emails just as usernames, but it does need to be in an email format for it to be usable. Then you'll set the password. And once you do this and you create this user, you'll send this email, which is the username, and the password to them. They will then be able to use that to log in. Now, they will be able to change their password, but as long as you are an admin user, you'll always have full control to come in and change that password if needed. If you're setting up the user and you've already set up all your dispatch groups, which I recommend, then you can simply assign users to a dispatch group right from here when you're adding them. Now, it's important to know if you add a user and you do not add them to a dispatch group, they will not show up on the schedule page. And I have seen it, especially for newer users. You set up all your users, you went to the user page, you got your permissions, everything's good to go. Let's go schedule an appointment. And you go to the schedule page and nobody's there. That's because you have to assign them to a dispatch group. If this is empty, if the dispatch group field is empty, they will not show up on the schedule. They must be assigned to a dispatch group to show up on your schedule page. And then we have permissions. So these are going to be personal preference based per user. You've got admin, office, and field account types. Admin is unlimited access to everything. You can see everything in settings. You can see everything in more applications. And you can make any changes. You have full access to the system. An office user is going to have everything that an admin user has, but you can come in and start to turn off and hide certain things in the system. Maybe I have someone who I want them to have full access to settings, more applications, but I want to hide my receivables report because I don't necessarily want them to see how much money is coming in from all the jobs. I just want them to focus on dispatching my field technicians. Then underneath, you will choose which permissions you want them to have or not have. And then a field user, this is going to be for your field technicians. And field users do not have access to the desktop version of WEX FSM. They will only have access to the mobile app, which, in my opinion, is probably for the best. So, if they're out in the field, you want focus 100% on the job you're doing. The mobile app and being a field user allows you to do everything you need to do to get jobs done out in the field. However, if you do have someone who's working, let's say, as a field technician, but they are in a manager role or supervisor role and they need admin access, I would set them to admin, not field, because when you're admin, you can log into the browser. So you have your mobile app, but there is a little functionality that the desktop version brings that you cannot do on the mobile app. But if you have admin account type, I can just use the browser on my device. So I can literally log into wexfsm.com and be able to do anything right from my mobile device that I would do on the desktop version. Once you're done, always make sure you hit save. I have done that before. You set all your settings and then you click out and you don't save anything. So go to the bottom. Always make sure you hit save after you have set your settings. When you do, that user will then be created. And for this context, for onboarding, maybe even right after today's webinar, go into your system, add all your users, make username and passwords for them, and then, when you're ready, you can send those to your employees, to your technicians, to your office crew, so they can log in and start using WEX FSM. All right. The final thing that we're going to go over before we get into our Q&A is, how can I practice? Maybe you are nervous. I'm not sure. I don't want to break this. I'm not sure. Am I going to accidentally send a message to a customer out of this thing? Like, it's very new. We've created what's called the example customer, and this is going to be really helpful for you to kind of test things out without messing with any of your real customers. Go to your search bar for search customers and click or type in example customer. Every new system has an example customer, and this is who you can use to practice things. And I recommend that you are practicing in the system. Get used to it. Click on the buttons. Use the example customer. If I want to create an appointment, assign an appointment to the example customer. If I want to look at what a real customer would look like, come to the example customer. And actually, just a pro tip, if you want, you don't have to do this, but this is a tip. For the example customer, add your phone number and your email. Then, if I schedule an appointment with my example customer, I will get what my customer will be receiving. And so you can kind of pretend like you're a customer with the example customer and then interact with that, create appointments, make invoices, take payments, and see what it looks like from your customer's point of view. And example customer is great for that. All right. So that is all the information that we have for today's presentation. Just a recap. When you first log in, go to the Getting Started button, hover, click on the article. Bookmark this if you want, or just know you go, log in, go back to the Getting Started button, and really read through this. Go to the Help Center. Go to Tasks and do your training. It's very simple, but it does take time, and you will get out of this what you put in. If after today's session, you never look at WEX FSM until you make the switch day, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to have your settings set. You're not going to have your users set up. So there is a little work on the front end to make sure your system is set up correctly. And then once you make the switch, your sync has been turned on, you'll just be using the system. You'll get used to it over time. But I do highly recommend you go in and complete this training. We're going to switch to our Q&A now. So any questions that you have, let me know. But before we do, I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Onboarding, Getting Started in WEX FSM.